Welcome everybody to this event this evening. I'm really happy that all of you could make it for this event. The Bangalore International Center has been very kind and allowed us, the Vijay Nambisan Trust, to hold our annual lectures here for several years. Initially, it was Mr. Ravichandar and his team who gave us the space and all the help, and now it is Mr. Vikram Bhatt and his team. We're very grateful to them for giving us this space. We are indeed very happy to have Ms. Brinda Adige agree to be a speaker today and talk to us about a very interesting topic. And she has had to come, through traffic with various problems, getting stuck, and then having to come on a two-wheeler finally, but she reached here. I am supposed to tell you those of you who don't know, I'm supposed to speak a few words about Vijay Nambisan. Now, it is very difficult for a wife to speak about her husband in any situation, but I will try. Vijay is from Kerala. He was born and lived and schooled in Neyveli in Tamil Nadu. He was an exceptionally bright student, and from his very young years, he started using the public library in Neyveli. And he used to read very widely, avidly. One of his colleagues from school says that when they were in 5th standard, he was asking questions of the teacher like, what are the relative merits and failings of Napoleon as compared to Nelson? So I really don't envy the teacher who had to answer these questions, But he used to say that because he read books far, different from his schoolmates, he didn't have anyone to talk to about the books he read, all the books he read. And after the 11th standard, he got into IIT Madras to do mechanical engineering with a very high All India ranking. But unfortunately, it was not engineering that he wanted to do. He was really very much interested in physics and the social sciences. But while in college, he was able to use the library in the Department of Humanities, which they have. And there he was able to read everything he loved: history, philosophy, literature, poetry, so many things. And it was there that he began to write. And some of his best poetry, some of the best poems remembered even now, were written at that time. That's when he became a poet. Vijay was a journalist, a writer, poet, and a wonderful human being. He was also very interested in the humanities and would always say that I would like to do something to encourage people to get involved in the humanities. And so after his demise, some of his close friends from the college and otherwise, and his family, we set up the Vijay Nambisan Trust. It is a small trust which tries to address certain issues connected with humanities by having these 2 annual lectures every year, one in the BIC and the other in Manthan, a reputed public forum in Hyderabad. And why humanities and what is humanities? For me, it is about trying to understand the interconnectedness of people and of societies and how that affects our lives and that affects, in the end, society where we live. And in a way, it also helps us to counter the the disconnectedness that is publicized as publicized propaganda that you do get to hear on television, news media. So humanities is extremely important, and we from the Vijay Nambisan Trust do something in a very small way. Besides the annual lectures, we also give a poetry fellowship every year to a promising poet or a poetry talent. And this year's winner, Satya Das, is actually here among the audience. And we hope in the years to come, as a trust, to be able to widen our scope and to do more things to address issues that are important to our society. Now I'd like to invite Ms. Brinda Adige I welcome you, ma'am, to come and speak to us. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, namaskara to all of you. I'm very honored, privileged and proud that the Vijay Nambisan Trust invited me here today to speak about what I do. On Twitter today, I have been doing a lot of forwards, reposts, likes, saying, yeah, I'm a huge fan of Brinda because she's an activist. But I'd like to consider myself more an active citizen. I don't really know who coined the word activist, when it was coined, why it was coined. But that said, if we are to question any kind of injustice or exploitation or inequality or something that we feel in our heart is wrong, does that make us an activist? Or is it only when we question the government, does it make us an activist? So why would we decide whether we want to be an activist or not want to be an activist? These are not questions I can even answer. But I'm just me. I love what I do. I talk about women, women's rights, children, children's rights. I talk about everything that concerns me, my family, my community, and yes, certainly my country. I'll just give you a small anecdote. This was sometime in 1993. I was just fresh out of college, finished MSW, joined an organization working with street children, and we were all trying to get our bearings, even at that time, because we were told, don't go and question the police. The children on the streets always get caught with police, and talk to them nicely. You will be able to then get the children out rather than going and fighting, arguing. Okay, fine, all of that. But my first argument was in fact at the Uparpet police station. And there were two small boys, 8 years and 11 years, and their friends came and told us that the police has taken them and gone to the station. My Kannada at that time was terrible. So I said, okay, somehow we need to get them. 8 years, 11 years, that is not something age that children should be inside there. So I go to the police station. When I went there, there was no sub-inspector, and they said, you have to wait for this man to come. And I wasn't very comfortable sitting inside the station, so I came outside the station and was waiting there. I don't know how many of you know where the Uparpet police station is. The entrance is on the main road itself. So while I was waiting there, dressed up in a sari and looking very respectable, why is she standing outside this police station? So a couple of people came and asked me, and in broken Kannada I said, I actually wanted to say, children from our organization, those who come to sleep at night in our organization are inside. But it came out like, my children are inside. How old? 8 years and 11 years. Okay. Why don't you go and get them? I said, I've been waiting for the sub-inspector, so he hasn't turned up. Okay, we'll wait with you. Oh, okay, 2 other women waited with me. Another one man came and waited. In about 15 minutes' time, we were like 8 people waiting. By then the sub-inspector came and he asked, what is this? All of you crowded in front of the police station. So somebody else told, her children are inside and your police are not letting them out. So he said, okay, come inside. So we all go inside and, the lockup. So if you enter Uparpet police station, you enter and you take a right. The first door is the sub-inspectors and just in front is the lockup. So you can see men and some children sitting there. And as soon as these two children saw me, they said, Akka, take us out. I said, yeah, wait, I will. No, as if I'm going to take them out in the next 5 minutes. So we go sit inside and then this police gives me a long list of things that they have done. Pickpocket, somebody's luggage, some chappal from a temple has also been stolen. One big list. And then I said, but are you sure that these are the culprits and they have done it? We don't know. We can apprehend them on suspicion. So I said, nothing doing. I know the law. So I know this Juvenile Justice Act 1986. I said, you can't keep them here. So you have to send them out now. And he said, who are you? I said, I'm their mother. So he said, what? I said, I'm their akka. They said, you don't look like their akka. I'm 24 years old. I said, okay, I'm their mother. Then he said, no, I'm not sending them out unless you give me a writing, undertaking, that they will not steal again. So my first question is, I give an undertaking. Can I guarantee for anybody? I can't guarantee for my own brother, sister, father, mother. But so what? That's what he wants. So I sat, wrote, gave the undertaking, brought these two people out. After about 3 weeks, they were taken in again. But that day I had read this entire act to him. The fellow immediately sent them to court and put them in the jail. There is a place called the quarantine section. So he's put them in there. Now I go to court. And then in front of the judge I said, there are two small boys. They are not supposed to be here. They are supposed to be at the children's home. It was called the government remand home at that time. But they've come here. The judge says, Madam, they are repeat offenders. That is why they are here. After a week, we will send them there. I said, nothing doing. You have to send them now. They can't handle it with all those adults. He said, will you give an undertaking? Oh, yeah, sure. Why not? Now I have become pista in undertaking. So give another undertaking. But after that, I realized that the police just find a vulnerable person. It's okay. It's a child or it's somebody else and then put the case on them and the system takes its course. So discussing with our organization, they said, let's do some awareness building for the police so that, we must give them benefit of doubt so that they don't take in children en masse and put them into lockup. So I said, yes, we are open to that. So we go to talk to the police commissioner, all of that, and then he gives us a time. And he says, every month we have a meeting where, we do crime reviews and all of it. So I will give you 1 hour, 1.5 hours to speak to them. So do come and talk. So now 3 of us, 3 women, we planned, we had almost one module, what we are going to talk. First and foremost, nobody has ever addressed police. We ourselves are scared of cops, but now you see that time there were 89 police stations, so 89 sub-inspectors from those police stations sitting there. The first person was a senior lady, my colleague. She began to talk about education. In about 30-40 seconds of her starting her talk, somewhere at the back of the hall, we could hear a humming. This was a song that was famous during that time. The movie was just released called Kal Nayak. And you know what that song is. You know or you don't know? So the song goes like this. Choli ke piche kya hai? He's humming it. He's not singing. And this lady got a bit flustered and she said, Brinda, I can't handle this because, it's making me very nervous. So now the next person, the next senior person, I am just junior, I'm very new into that organization. So she said, I'll talk, let's see what this fellow does. She stood. She began to introduce how we have educational programs for children on the streets, what we do, and how we try to wean them off. And the humming started again. After about 30-40 seconds, she said, I'm not doing it. What the hell? Why should we do all this for the cops? Let us go. Now I was so angry. I said, the commissioner has asked us to come, and he has told that we can take 1.5 hours. The ACP introduced us. I am taking it up. So I go, stand over there, and I began. All the problems that they face, the gangs that are there, how they are sexually abused by those gangs. And again this started. I said, I can't give off my 1.5 hour. I got down from that podium, walked right up to that man there, and I said, sir, can you please come up to the stage? He said, no, I'm not coming. I said, no, sir, you have to come. Because if you don't come to the stage, then you and I are going to see the commissioner. The choice is yours. So he said, okay, whatever. So he comes to the stage. And in Kannada, he said, Higa in ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. I told, take the mic. My mother has always said that when somebody has a talent, you should encourage it. I said, sing. So he said, no, madam, I was doing joke. I said, no, now I am serious. That was not, I am serious. Take the mic. So I had reduced the mic to my height. I kind of put it up and I said, Hadri parvagilla. So he said, Illari, I cannot. So I said, till you sing and sing the whole song, I'm not starting session. And if I don't start session, I'm not going to give up my 1.5 hours. So decide what you want to do. So I told everybody, please encourage your friend. Said, no. After about a minute, they said, "Hey, hado, hey, katte, ye, wo," all kinds of curses now. And in the end, he said, okay, I'll sing. I don't know the whole song. I only know the chorus. I said, doesn't matter, sing it 5 times. It's a new song. Everybody won't know the song and the words so quickly. So he stands there and says, Choli ke piche kya hai? I said, no, singing is not like that. Sing straight from the stomach, you sing. Then only the voice comes. He stood there. Choli ke piche kya hai? After 2, he looked at me. He said, 3 more. That was my introduction to training and police. After that, we had every month this training program, and there were other organizations also called to come and talk about different issues. Senior citizens, women's rights, mental health. But as soon as I go in, the whole lot will say, Yenu matadbeda, sumne kelskondiri, ashte. But that time I also realized that if we don't confront bullies, if you don't walk up to them and tell them that they have to do what they must do and not do what they must not do, then we will continue to get bullied, because that's how power works. My other incident was in court. I told you earlier I had signed that undertaking. Now these street children, 3 to 4 days, 5 days max, they'll stay in one place. Otherwise, they are going from here to Hyderabad, to Chennai, to Cochin. So like that, these are missing. They are supposed to be brought before the court. They're supposed to present themselves in court, and they are not there. So, of course, I got the summons at my office. And my director asked me, why did you get the summons? I said, I signed and came. I told you, this is part of the staff rules. You're not supposed to do sign undertaking. I said, I didn't know anything else to bring them out from there. He said, now go to court. So I said, okay, I'll go to court. So we go to court. And there the judge says, where are the 2 children, madam? I don't know. No, but you gave an undertaking. I said, but if they have left even if they were staying in my house, or if they were staying in your house, and if they've left their house and they've gone away, at the most the police has to search. I can't search for them. So, have you filed a missing complaint? Somebody in the morning said, go file a missing complaint, you'll be safe. So, what missing complaint I'll file? There are just about 2,000 children on the streets. We know that today they are not there, and so I'm filing a missing complaint. So I went there, filed the missing complaint, and I came. What the courts do, what the police does, what we do as citizens, oftentimes we never want to stop and question why a system is in such a fashion. Why a court, a judge over there expects that I'm a social worker working somewhere for a salary, I must take charge of children who are on the streets, but the government will not do anything. Over the last 40 years of my life as a social worker, as an activist, I've started several organizations and I've moved on. I've always been anti-establishment, and I know that I can't stay in an organization for too long. I have lots of ideas. I'll work. I'll train people. I absolutely believe that if I start something new, my primary job is to make leaders. Second level, third level, fourth level, whichever. And then move on from there. So one of that was this Makkala Sahayavani, which I started in the police commissioner's office. It was the first helpline in India. There were a lot of discussions before starting Makkala Sahayavani with different organizations. Nobody thought that it would actually materialize. On the day of the inauguration, all of us know that there are several powerful, big, expert organizations everywhere. So these organizations boycotted, and they said, we are not coming for the inauguration. Frantically, I ran to the police commissioner and I said, they're not coming for the inauguration. What do we do? He said, that's okay, I'm here. I said, okay. So that Makkala Sahayavani, that particular day, was inaugurated with people who were invited in the next 1 hour. They came from different sectors and different sections. And we were told, at least the group of us who were sitting there were told, that a helpline inside a police commissioner's office will never work. And I said, okay, at the most what? We'll shut shop in 3 months? No problem, we'll shut shop. On day 5, we have Star TV interviewing us. How can a helpline run? How is it running? What are the calls you're getting? How is the police responding to it? For whatever reasons, because it was sitting in the police commissioner's office, the police responded to all the calls very positively. So probably they thought that they have a responsibility to respond to those calls. And it went on to function so well as not just a collective, but also partnership between the police and the civil society, that we had people coming from different parts of India to see how this is working, how police and social workers work together to respond to calls. The police are very powerful. But it was also at that time I learned and understood that laws could be dynamically utilized. So we got this case of a couple, an Indian couple, somewhere in the US. They've divorced and they have 2 children, 7 years and 9 years. And after the divorce, the custody of the children was given to the mother. And the mother was looking after them and life was going on. Somewhere about 6-7 months down the line after the custody was handed over to the mother, the husband came and said, my mother is very ill in India, in Bangalore, and she just wants to see the 2 children. So can I take them and go and then bring them back in 3 weeks? Again, a lot of talk, how families talk to my mother, talk to your father, aunt, ye, wo, and everybody said the least you can do is send the 2 children. Of course, after all, she wants to meet her grandchildren. So the children were sent to Bangalore. She waits 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 3 months, the children have not come back. So she sends a letter to the local police and says, see, I need to take my children and go, I need help. She's come down to Bangalore. And the police said, oh, he's already filed a case in court. She goes to court, and the court says, we don't respect all those custody charges that you have. The case is here, and you can continue with this case. So somebody said, why don't you go and see what happens in Makla Sahayavani? So we sat listening to the case, and then we spoke to another lawyer, and he said, technically, legally, the child custody is with her. So both the children are hers to actually take and go now. But he had reported, and he had put the children in another school, and the principal and everybody was saying that you can't come and meet the child. What we did was find out where she can quickly get a flight to go out of India. She was the niece of somebody very high up in the bureaucracy, and the person couldn't do much. So we go talk to the school principal and say, she's the mother, here are the papers of the custody that she's got from the country, the state that she's come from, and she just wants to meet the children. And the principal said, but I've been categorically told that she cannot come and meet the children. I said, she's the mother. Unless you have a court order, you cannot say no to her. So she said, okay, fine. Meet during lunchtime and send the children back. The children's bags, of course, we couldn't take. We came out of the gate. That time, the schools were not so strict as they are today. And then we take her straight to the airport. So the airport was in HAL, on HAL Road, close by, not like how it is today. The only flight at that time we got was to Bombay. So she went into the Bombay flight. By then, her brother got tickets for late that night to Bahrain, and she flew and went with her children. The next day, this man came with all the lawyers, and I had a case of kidnap on me. So the police said, now what do we do? I said, do what you want to do. The mother's taken the children and gone. No, but you had gone there. I never went there. Is this right? Is this wrong? I don't know. But does the mother have the right to those children because she has custody of them? Yes. So constantly in my area of work, I ask these questions. Can a certain power abuse what some other power has said that this is what is yours? And I have never backed out from asking these questions to the powers that be, or afraid to ask or to do what I'm supposed to be doing in that given situation. At the end of the day, it is like, so what? We didn't break rules, we didn't break laws, we didn't violate anybody's rights. After all of that, I come to 2005, when I decided that now I want to register an organization, again because of a mentor of mine, one Alistair Christie, who said that the work that I'm doing is good, is fine, is nice, but you need to streamline it, you need to have depth, and you need to see an impact in a certain area, and you need to register an organization. So that is how we have Global Concerns India as a registered organization. Categorically, I did not want to be on the board of my organization because of who I am. Can't have anybody dictating terms and telling me, don't do this or do that. Neither can we have an organization doing something that must be within the ambit or the lines that are drawn by whoever. So to date, I'm not on the organization. I have very good board members who run the organization, but a lot of thinking has gone into it to see that we create spaces for people who can be activists within the organizations or within the programs that we run. So the first one that we do, I also started off work long time back against human trafficking, rescuing children and later on rescuing women and men also. But when we started to rescue children, we found that we put them back into government homes, And while the homes try their best to rehabilitate them, they really are not able to do their best or what is required for those children. So we decided that we may rescue children, but they are better off with their families. My thinking even today is that institutions certainly don't provide that support that a significant other can and must provide. So we began to look for their parents and send them back home. Just before that, I had started another organization along with my friend in Raichur called Sathi. And we used to pick up children from across the southwestern railways. So Wadi and Raichur were our points where we used to pick them up, where we used to get most number of children. We devised something called as a camp situation where we would take away 12, 25 children, 25, 30 children to a far-off place from the city, help them to move out. We didn't know much about withdrawal symptoms of petrols, whitener sniffing, and all these kind of things. But we thought that if we took them away from the place where it is available, easily accessible, we would be able to help them come out of that addiction. The first time we did this, we were in trouble. We just had first aid with us, and we had the children, all kinds of programs. We were doing meditation and yoga, swimming in the river when the crocodiles were not there. But when evening came, it was difficult for those children to, overcome those withdrawal symptoms. There were times when we found children eating mud, sand, and then we said, this is not okay. So we will take them back the next day. But the river was flooded and we couldn't take them back. We had to wait there for 4-5 days. In the meantime, we started writing letters because children don't usually tell us the truth from where they have come, especially children who've run away from home for whatever reasons. But being with us for about 10, 12 days and nobody else to talk to and nothing else to talk about, they talked about their families, their addresses, whatever little that they remember. With the help of friends from different cities, different states, we ensured also with our journalist friends that their photos were put there. It was on all the newspapers to say that here are children who have gone missing and who are with us, and if there are parents, you can come to Raichur. You can come after 1 week. The day we reached Raichur, we found parents of all the 30 children who've come from all the way from Assam, Ahmedabad, different parts of Karnataka. And we were worried and wondering whether the children will go back, but every single child went back to that parent. So then the question arose, are we as organizations and as the government and its homes not doing something, or are we doing something wrong? And we began to ask these questions with other organizations working with street children. Some of them were open to it, many of them were not open to it. But what was very clear to us is this camp system must now expand. Today that organization is a huge organization with its head office in Delhi. I come back to Global Concerns India. Here we decided that education should be the first and primary objective to ensure children either come out of place where they work and children go to school. It hasn't been easy. We continue to struggle with it. But what has happened is, in the slum that we work, in LR Nagar, it's the largest slum in Bangalore, we have almost 70% of children and their parents, their neighbors, their families, who ensure that the child is going to school, and if the child is not going, to at least tell others to go to school. The slum that we work as a lot of other organizations, about 15, 20 other organizations. So in 2007, when I went into the slum, I was wondering whether there is any work at all that can be done. So I used to sit under a tree at LR Nagar on a mat with my laptop, working. When people will come and ask, what are you doing here? I said, no, I'm just sitting here. I'm trying to see whether children are safe, whether women are safe, whether women get beaten, or do the men beat women, do they beat their wives? And the first thing they said, this is a nice slum. Don't come and spoil it. Nobody gets beaten. So I said, okay, if it's a nice slum, then I want to stay here. I'll stay here. Morning to evening, anyway, I have nothing else to do. I'll sit here. There was, next to the place where I was sitting, there was one lady. Her name was Hema. She was the local thug. She would loan money on interest, and everybody was scared of her. She was like 5'9". But every 2 hours, she'll call me and ask me whether I want water to drink, whether I want some tea, whether I have had lunch, I've had breakfast. So we became friends like that. So after about 10, 12 days, she told me, come with me today. We are going for a ceremony. So I said, okay, let's go. Packed up everything, rolled up my chape, and walked with her. So a woman had lost her husband, alcohol, whatever. And this was the third day ceremonies. The ceremonies are all over. Late in the evening, around 5:36, a man walks up to her in front of everybody and gives something in her hand. So she takes it and holds on to it, begins to cry a little more, and then the man said, I'll see you in 2 days' time, and he went away. So I was like saying, wow, people are coming and, giving her some money, giving her something, and telling her that, be strong and brave and all that. After he left, the other women helped her to tie that. It was a Mangal Sutra on a yellow thread with one small, with a small gold thing. Helped and tied that to her. I said, oh, I didn't know this was part of the ceremonies, We know that it's usually taken away. Your bangles are broken. Of course, that's another discussion altogether. But, actually tying the Mangal Sutra. And then this lady said, now nobody will trouble her. Now nobody will bother her. Because she's under his protection. So who's he? Oh, this is his 34th wife. And it is common. Everybody is party to this. Possession of that woman. So that she's protected. He was murdered 2 years ago. You might have read it in the newspapers. So you could imagine how many widows he left behind. This is the situation in the slum there. Women and children. There are older men who will sexually abuse and rape young girls. In this city where we talk about no child marriage, the community will immediately, 41-year-old man, 12-year-old girl, marry her off. With due respect to all the policies, the laws, the very sensitive and hard-working duty bearers in the various departments, stopping child marriage is very difficult. So the first time I got to know about this, in 2008, I report to Vivek Nagar Police. And they said, Madam, just to do your work, why you want to put your life in danger? That girl's family is also agreeing for her to be married. I said, this is rape. How do you allow for something like this? He said, no, when they come to the police station, they will say that they want to get married. I said, no. You register the case and we'll see what has to happen will happen. So they registered the case. Everybody was brought to the police station. And Of course, by then we have the Juvenile Justice Act, the amended one, protection of children and children in conflict with law. So we also have the ICPS program. So we have the district child protection officer who comes and says, we don't know who's registering the case on child labor, the child marriage. The police has to register. No, we don't register, because if the police registers, which is a suo motu case, then the court doesn't take serious cognizance. So we are fighting there. We are 5 people now. Who's going to register the case? In the end, I said, okay, I'll register. By now, I have only registered about 1,000 FIRs, I think. So if nobody comes, I will register, and I will also go to court and stand there for years together before we get a case or not get justice out of that case. 2 days later, the entire slum descended on our office to ask, how can you continue to work here? You have sullied and brought disrespect to the slum by registering a case. So we frantically called Hoysala and police station. All of them came. There were about 500 people, and we were standing there in the center. And from there, the cops are calling out on the microphone, Madam, hengadru nuggi bittu bandbidi aache. Yeng nuggu bittu barodu. We had 2 people like standing there, and they full surrounded, at least 400-500 people. 3 Hoysalas on the other side. So I said, sir, now nuggakke barala, yenak barala, now ille nitkondidivi, ನೀವು ಏನು ಬೇಕಾದರೂ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. 4 hours. We are talking of a place which is about 5 kilometers from BIC. This is the state. After 5 hours, they told, so are you now properly scared? And tomorrow onwards, you will not do these kind of things? I said, no. If that girl tells me that I did the wrong thing, I will agree. If the girl says, no, I did the right thing, I am here tomorrow doing the same thing again. So we speak to the girl. And she says, I told my parents that I do not want to get married to this man. His child is in my class. But my parents said, to safeguard our honor and prestige, this is what you have to do. So then I looked at all of those people and I said, so can I continue my office here? And they said, okay, continue. Like this, there are a lot of anecdotes and snippets. But the question that we want to ask ourselves is, can we invest ourselves into something like this? Is there any threat to life? The threat is the same, that I might get banged by one of the BMTC buses. Nothing more, nothing less. Constantly questioning and asking also makes us somebody, almost a pariah. Sorry to use that word because I am against any form of caste discrimination, but you are an outcast with everybody, including non-governmental organizations, friends and colleagues. Because this one will make life miserable even for us. So they'll quickly say a hi. When you go to conferences and seminars, they'll quickly say a hi and they'll run away that side. And then I tell myself, okay, what more did I expect? Of course, I do feel that I'm betrayed. And then I sit back and I ask, say, what is betrayal? There was no bond signed that you must be my friend and you must stand by me and be my support, or just sit next to me. So we did the same with the women in the slum. Got the women together to start talking about violence. All forms of violence. Violence in their homes and violence outside. If you ever come to LR Nagar, you will see that it begins at the Adugodi main road near the National Animal Husbandry Institute and comes all the way up to NGV or that Koramangala road. So it's about a 3-kilometer road. And at those days, in 2009, every company, Vodafone, Airtel, BSNL, will dig the roads every 2 days. So after a point, the entire road is dug up. We don't know who's now going to put that road back. So same thing happened in LR Nagar. There was a bus that used to come at 4:30 in the morning to go to market. And the bus will be filled 80% with women, 20% with men. These are women who are street vendors and daily wage laborers who will go to market, bring all their wares and come here to sell. Now there is no bus. So they have to walk all the way up to about 1 kilometer towards Neelasandra. And then when we were discussing with the women, we asked, what do you want now? What should we go and ask? We went to the MLA, we went to the corporator, we went to everybody. Nothing worked. And the women said, this road has to be done. Because otherwise now we are waking up much, much early and going all the way there. So I taught them how to register a RTI, a right to information. So we were 130 women who filed the same application to PWD and to BBMP. In 3 days' time, the entire lot of officials descend because it was our address. About 20 RTI applications went from our address. The rest went from their own addresses. So they came here and they said, Madam, what do you want? So we said, no. In that RTI we had asked, who got tender to dig that road? In that tender, what are the directions or what are the conditions given to those people? You will dig how deep, you will dig how wide, and after that, how many days do you have to put the cement or the road back? Only 3 questions. And who was awarded the highest tender? Because in that also there is the people who dig and all of that. Only 3 questions we asked. Now this whole lot is come sat there. So we said, no, we just give us these answers. No, you just tell us what you want. I said, okay, I'll call all the people, all the other women who have filed this RTI. So all 120 came. They kept asking the questions and these women said, we just want to know who you gave the tender to. So after about half an hour of back and forth talk, they said, we actually just want that road to be repaired. But we didn't know what to do because we've gone to all the MLAs, we've gone to everybody, and everybody is saying, Nale martivi, naldu nale agbidutte, elections inu bandilla, band mele barak munche now hakbidtivi road. So, all of these. Oh, that's all. So there was one so-called senior public information officer. He said, Ashte na? I said, yes, Ashte. Okay. Will you take the complaint, will you take that RTI back if the road is done? We'll see. 15 days now, after the RTI. 3-kilometer stretch road is done in 1 day, overnight. They didn't want to answer those 3 questions we asked, but road was done. So women there were so empowered. They said, oh, just this and 10 rupees does all this work. We never knew. How many of us still don't know? So Global Concerns India is a very nice organization, not like me. We follow all the rules, we are very compliant. And all this work that I'm talking to you about is done after 5:30. After office hours, nothing to do with GCI. They just allow us to use their place. Brinda Adige, my husband, is the president, but there are 5 other board members who allow us to use that place. We have all of these collective space discussions after 5:30. So it doesn't come on their report. The only thing that comes is we help them to write RTI application. That's all. And that's okay. Because, everybody is not literate. So you can come and write your applications, you can come and get forms get filled over here, you can get your Ishrama card, your Ayushman card, all of those things you can come and get done here. What happens after that is my responsibility. Is this activism? No. I thought this is also something that every organization, all of us must do. Whatever are the laws that are there, using it dynamically. How we want to question the powers that be. Flip side of this, we don't get any funding from the government. With due respect to everybody, if you are in the government, or you were in the government, or you might be going to work with the government, remember that commissions have to be given. And we don't give commissions. For me to give commissions, I need to get donors who will agree that you can give commissions. So we don't get any funding. But also, it is not easy to get funding from the government. And now, it's even more difficult. I had just I'd written down a lot of stuff. And I have questions that I want to ask you, but I saw on the invite that you will be asking me questions. Yes, I'm ready for that also. But when Kaveri was talking to me in the earlier days, I said, let me write a speech. But as I kept writing, after talking to Kaveri, I couldn't really get a speech written. I just had so many questions. And I just wanted to ask some of these questions here. Whether you've also asked these questions. Where have you asked them? How did you ask them? And you know for sure that the recent elections would not have had the results that it had if it wasn't for the citizens doing what they decided they ought to do. It was not a huge number. It was a small number. But we worked very hard. I'm sure all of you know about Yeddelu Karnataka and all the work they did. You also know about a lot of activists on the OTT, their own channels, their own YouTube, the kind of facts and truth that they brought out. The questions that they asked, fearlessly, and the way they were trolled, and they continue to be trolled. So anybody who asks questions, who challenges status quo, who wants to ask answers and demand from powers that be, must be ready for all forms of retaliation. All forms. It could be anything. From you being threatened to you being bad-mouthed and maligned. And that is the question we want to ask ourselves. Are we afraid of that? And we also know that since COVID, many things have changed. Truth doesn't come out in the way that we think it to be truth. And if it does come out, then many of us talk in hushed tones. Are we influencers? Do we influence anything? I'm asking a question to you. Do you think that you and I influence anything? Yeah, we do. In our small spaces or in larger spaces? Is asking questions bad? Again, not hurting anybody's sentiments, but as a middle class and the upper middle class, we want to remain in a fashionable space, also a comfortable space, also a complacent space, where we don't want to ask these questions, where we don't want to challenge anything. And people who do so, last week I was invited to another seminar, and somebody jokingly said, here's Brinda, she's a radical activist. Activist, okay. No, radical activist. So you see the names that get coined. What is activist and what is radical activist? So I couldn't say anything to him, but later on I asked him, why did you say like that? Yeah, Brinda, but you question everything, yeah. Why you do that? I'm only questioning whatever is wrong or something that I feel must be set right. Is that so bad? I don't know. Maybe. That is why he called me radical. My question that I wanted to ask is, why are we increasingly losing touch with our neighbors, but before that with our family members, our communities, our people and those connections? What would we do if we did not have influencers like Dr. Raghu, or Dhruv Rate, Ravish Kumar, or Abhishek Sharma, Akash Banerjee? Are they anti-nationals? No. Are they social workers? No. Are they active citizens? Yes. That's all. But everybody gets branded into this activism. Now we also have elected representatives coining words like urban Naxals. And you ask yourself, so there are rural Naxals, urban Naxals. Now if you become Bhorat Bangalore, you will be Bhorat Naxals also. But we allowed it, because now it's repeatedly used by different media also. And we never question these people. Urban Naxals. If I, Brinda from urban, go and raise my voice, say in one of those rural spaces, at that time will I be called as a rural Naxal? But these are questions that we just ask as intelligentsia, a lot of these kind of musings. What stops us today, what stops our young people today from asking these kind of questions? How is it that an entire generation has become so comfortable? Are we responsible for it? Yes. When I look at my children, there are times we are fighting, we are arguing about something that's happened on TV, some message, some news that has come. Are you going to change the world? This is a question I am asked almost on a daily basis, even in my house. Let me change my world. Let me change me for some time, for some little bit of time, so that I can feel happy. I can be happy. I'm nobody's savior to change anybody's world. Why do we expect somebody else to come and change the world that you are living in or I'm living in? These are also questions that we ask, but in a simpler form back in the slum. Because there, this kind of thinking is not there. There they are more worried about whether they got their ration cards, will they get it or not. The last 4 years, poverty on the MIS has reduced because very, very categorically, a large number of poor people have suddenly, by the click of a computer, have gone into APL. They are no longer BPL. They are not below poverty line. And these are people who are struggling, especially after COVID. These are also people who are struggling to have healthcare, nutrition, a place to stay, and no families. Before I end, while I was musing on this, and somebody asked me, do you always keep your promises? I said, no, none of us do. But often we make compromises. But has compromise become just a part of our lives and no promises at all? Because I'm coming for this lecture here today, I read Mr. Vijay Nambisan's Language as an Ethic. And I was very, very moved, where he stresses the need for ethical writing, and the emphasis is on the importance of honest writers as a powerful necessity, because writings represent our thoughts and actions. But this truth that he's talking about is for any kind of communication that you and I have at any level with anybody at any point of time. How often are we comfortable and ready to listen to truth is something that I think we have to ask ourselves, because in this, he also passionately asserts the need to use language of ethics as a political microphone. The language of ethics, political microphone. Today you know that many organizations have been shut down, and many NGOs are also under the scanner because of political work. What is non-political? If I talk about children's rights to children, is it political? If I tell women that you have reproductive rights and you have a right to go and have an abortion, is it political? If I tell senior citizens that you don't have to gift deed your home, your house to your son or your daughter, is that political? Yes, all of that is political. Because if you go and look into the definition of what today elected representatives talk, all this is political. So then we would be reduced to a space where talking about domestic violence, talking about sexual abuse, rape, demanding and questioning why the accidents are happening, railway accidents are happening, is all political. So what is the truth? If we say we want truth, speaking up for oneself, demanding truth, is it right or wrong? These are all questions I want to leave behind, because often we get mixed up with independence and freedom, challenging stereotypes, or having somebody tell us what we should wear, what we should eat, what we should drink, how we should drink, who we should marry. Are all these not political? Everything is political. The other bit that I wanted to share over here is again from Language as an Ethic, where Mr. Vijay Nambisan supports his argument with his remarkable intellect, asserting the essence of communication, not only words and images, but integrity. And that, my friends, is the question that you and I have to ask ourselves every day. Is this integrity that is mine, that I will stand up to and voice out? Or will I let it lie and say, that's something that I would not want to go into that, because without integrity, what kind of turns do our lives take on a daily basis? As a culture, have we become incapable of facing the truth at every level? And have we voluntarily added ourselves to collective delusions? Everybody is intelligent, but courage is rare. And that also means the courage of our convictions. And all of you know the story of the swallow. Yes, you know the story of the swallow? Yeah. Okay, I'll just quickly finish. So there was this forest that was burning, and all the animals are running away from the fire, away from the fire. And suddenly, this lion sees this swallow carrying water in its beak going towards the fire. And the lion is saying, "What are you doing? Can you see how the fire is raging? And you're carrying water. How much water does your beak can hold?" And the swallow said, "But I'm going to be doing about 1,000 trips. You can join me." I think that is something that we want to hold on to. The swallow and the drop of water that the swallow took to put away the fires. I will end my talk now with these lines, again from Mr. Nambisan. "Oh, yesterday the things we did not know would come, and oh, the things we do not know will come today. Now we beheld those soon pass away. We are not told how long they will stay with us." And also from another part of his prose, his poetry, where there was this question asked, and he says, "The Spirit replied, I am the truth and the life and the way." So each of us is called to uphold that truth. Because after all, we want our lives to be the lives that we have aspired for. We want for our children, we want for our families, and we can't let somebody else, wait for somebody else to make that better and not question things we know are going wrong, things we know are not right. Because if complacency sets in, the privileged lot that we are, what can we expect? Thank you.
So the question is, if we want to start in a small way, how can we start?
We'll define small. We'll have to define small.
Yeah.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if I understand what is small, if you are on any social media and there is a petition that comes,
Right.
asking for your signature.
Right.
So you read through the petition and you say, this is something that I am also concerned about. For instance, the bad roads.
Right.
Should we sign it? Would you sign it?
Yes, definitely.
Well, I think we begin from there.
Right.
And for you to amplify this, I think you can share it and convince people. Because what has set into all of us just now is this state of helplessness and a state of also indifference. So both are difficult to digest.
I think the biggest problem is everybody now pays a lot of attention to convenience. And they will not do something which is inconveniences them. And that is really the challenge I face. I mean, I talk to my children also about this, so many of these things. It's too much headache. Yeah, I mean, you have to take this burden on myself, right? It's so inconvenient, and I don't know any good answer to that. Do you have any good answer?
I don't think I have any good answers, but it just helps to speak with them, talk to them, because my children are also into those phases. Things that appeal to them, they are willing to question. Things that they think should not have gone wrong or should have gone right, that they personally, it is only for them. It relates totally, entirely, personally to them. They do question. So I'm thinking that everything that relates to me, but again, the question that you're asking is, can it also not be everything that relates to me distantly, but relates to somebody else much more seriously? We talk of poverty. I can't wrap my head around poverty. What is it? I'm not poor. I haven't starved. So what are we talking about? So we don't talk about poverty. I'm not saying that all of us must be concerned and bothered about only that thing. You be bothered about your convenience. So we'll have to take it step by step. It has to be case by case, action by action. It is going to be a everyday battle. And that's the only way we are hoping that they will learn to be bothered and concerned. Because like you mentioned, the other day my daughter said, I don't want a licensed two-wheeler. I want an electric one which doesn't require a license and doesn't require a helmet. So I asked her why. She said, it's such a bother. Yes, it is a bother. But the helmet is for your head. Don't worry about the license. So wear the helmet, let go of the license. We get you a bike which does not require one. And then she said, after it's got, oh, it's not as fast as I thought it would be. Yeah, you have to make sacrifices. And there are things that you have to give up. So I told her, now you list down. If you had a bike with a license, all this will happen. Now you have one without a license, but just look after your head. The helmet is for you. Nobody's going to stop and question you. Which side of the sheet do you want to be on? And she said, I'll be on the right side. I'll wear the helmet and go. It's for her. I can't tell her, now why don't you be bothered about this? Why don't you be bothered? No, there is not going to be. Let's begin with them. Who knows? In a year's time, she might get a gear vehicle and then the helmet and the license might come. But not just now. It's very difficult for us to get young people to be concerned. I will not use the word bothered, but concerned. And I think that concern is not coming because of the kind of lifestyles that we have allowed to happen. You look at all the advertisements, look at all the talks that happen in public spaces. Everything is just a sham. It's so hollow, and it must be comfortable to you. If it's comfortable to you, then do it. If it is not, don't do it. And yes, convenient, absolutely. If it is comfortable and convenient, I'll do it. Otherwise, I won't do it. And this activism is something that is almost a bad word. Today, you cannot be proudly saying I'm an activist, even among the activists. Yes, this is something that we have noticed, because I have my friends who tell me, Brinda, go easy, don't talk too loudly. In 2001, I filed a case against the director of a big funding organization who had raped a 12-year-old child. And all the NGOs were up in arms against me and said, she went and fell on him and she provoked him and all of those usual language, when we talk about these kind of things. And I said, she's 12. That guy is 42. Why are you talking like this? I said, anyway, I am not going to justify myself to you. I have gone with the girl and we have filed an FIR in the police station. So FIR, everything happened, arrest happened, and he's gone. 2002, the case went through fast-track court. There were 3 lady judges. After every transfer, there were lady judges. And he was given 7 years plus another 2 years rigorous imprisonment. You won't believe it. A couple of organizations who were supported by him at some point of time registered a false case on me. Somebody was raped, apparently. And that person has now gone into the government children's home. So they come and ask and tell me, tell us who's that person. I don't know who the person is. You have registered the complaint. You say that the girl said somebody has raped her. They said, no, it is somebody known to you. So I said, okay, then let the police do what they have to do. If the police come and they ask me, madam, do you know who the man is? I don't know. Because the girl was not in my custody. She was in the government home. The date that they said that she was raped, she was in the government home. So how can you file the FIR on me? But that's my country. That's my nation, my court, my police. I fought this case for 4 years. So if you go on the net, you'll find Brinda Adige versus State of Karnataka. And all of them said, of course, in the beginning, after the FIR was registered for 6 months, I couldn't get a lawyer. I asked different people. Then I got to know that we can represent our own case and fight our own case in court. So I began to study all the law books, talking to friends here, there, everywhere, going to the public library. Then a good friend of mine, Leo Saldana, he said, Brinda, you're a woman. Of course, I am. Don't go to court. And don't go and fight your case on your own. I said, why? All those judges are men there. You're not a lawyer. And you go and spew all this intellect over there, you had it. So now that also went. All my homework that I did for such a long time to naught. 2 more days is the last day. After that, no more appeal. I found a lawyer in High Court. A lawyer who handles environmental cases and not criminal cases. I beg him and I plead with him and I say, you have to take this case. Otherwise, I have no case and unnecessarily, I'm going to be maligned and the truth is never going to come out. After 2 hours, he said, if you do all my legwork for this case, I will take your case. I said, absolutely, sure. That's how I became an advocate. I studied law. And won this case in the Sessions Court and then in the other Sessions Court. After I win the case, this group of people go to the High Court saying that they do not agree to the verdict given by the judge in the Sessions Court. That's all. All the truth, the facts, everything is there. No judge simply gives you a verdict. And we were wondering what the High Court will do, what the High Court will say, because I was praying and I was trying very hard not to be seen by the judge because I was still thinking of Leo's talk, don't go there and act very smart and all that. Just be, somewhere in the corner, like one wallflower you be. Don't go and stand next to your lawyer. Even don't turn the page for him because I used to do that in the Sessions Court. There, if you've gone to court, you will see it's one crowded place. Nobody knows who's coming, who's going, who's arguing. But somehow the system functions and the judge is listening and some notes are happening over there. And thankfully, this judge read through that and told the opposite lawyer, I'll give you 1 minute to withdraw your case. Otherwise, I will dismiss it. That was the longest 1 minute. I was actually counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. I counted 1 minute twice because I didn't know 1 minute was so long. And thankfully, before the fellow could open his mouth, the judge said, case dismissed. I have a very supportive husband, very supportive children, very generous family. Probably because of that, I have got and I continue to be in these spaces. Imagine getting your name splashed in the newspapers, abetted rape. And after I have headed Makkala Sahayavani for 11 years. All my family members, it's there on the TV, it's there on News 9, my photo was all out there. Times of India carried, day after day, they carried piece after piece, different kinds, like how they do, no? And I still had to carry on my business. If this is activism, my convenience, no, I couldn't look at my convenience, but I had to fight, because if that truth doesn't come out, then the lies get piled. And there's impunity on the other side, where they think they can get away.
You emphasized that everything must start with oneself. We must first practice it ourselves. That point is well taken. We talk about India becoming a great economy and a great nation. But to reach that status, just the economy doing well is not enough. I think what the other qualities which you mentioned, discipline, integrity, truth. So this message has to be spread in a very, very big way. How do we create more activists like you?
We'll have to first find out now why the 6th standard textbooks have taken away the preamble to the Constitution. None of us know about it. It's gone. It's not there. Am I not bothered because my children are not in class 6? We have to have information. If we want to be activists, we need to gather information. We need to get information about everything. Things that might immediately concern us and things that might remotely concern us or indirectly concern us or not concern us at all. But it might concern us at a later period of time. It might concern somebody else. And a unanimous decision, you can't have the preamble of the Constitution. So when do I study it? If I take sociology, if I take history, if I take civics, but not that as a student and as a citizen of this nation that you must read that and learn it. So when you ask me how we are going to spread that, it has to begin with our education system. If the education system is too big a battle to fight, then it will have to be our dining table, our living rooms. Because otherwise we have no hope. It has to begin with us. We can't fight the larger battle out there. Of course, there are fights going on. There's a PIL also that is there in the Supreme Court demanding that the preamble be brought back into the textbooks. That's a long battle. The other easier bit would be this, that's what I think. Because if we don't do this, then our children would not even know that the preamble starts, we the citizens. And it ends with, we the citizens give to ourselves this Constitution. Nobody else gives it to us.
You know, just the recent Nobel Prize in Economics, I think is very relevant to what you're saying, right? Because it very clearly says that the institution the British left behind in India have continued, and those were extractive. That is the word they use. They were extractive institutions. And I think, I mean, I don't know how to do it, but how do we change it is something that after reading that I said, yeah, this is so true, because the police is extracting, the bureaucrats are extracting, everybody is extracting, and the laws and the institutions are all oriented towards extraction. And it's just a thought. I mean, I don't know what to do about it, but it's something which has struck me. So I just wanted to share it.
Yes. So we've allowed ourselves to continuously be colonized. The British left, but we still get colonized by everything else. And when you talk about extracting, right now it's almost voluntarily. From the Aadhaar card to anything that you ask, there's no privacy at all. So are they extracting, or am I allowing it also? Because right now there's no choice. We all say that there is no choice. So when this Aadhaar came in beginning, all of you remember how this Aadhaar came? You won't get your gas. You won't get this, you won't get that. So there was my neighbor and another cousin of mine saying, oh, Brinda, you don't have a gas, you are using your mother's gas, so get the Aadhaar, you will get gas. So I said, yeah, we'll do it. For over, how many years? So Aadhaar started off in 2011. Till about 2016, I did not have Aadhaar. No, 2017. I didn't do an Aadhaar. So every time the gas lady will call from the office and say, Madam, you have an Aadhaar number. Say, my husband is not letting me to go out of the house to get Aadhaar. Yeah, you just send the gas. No, I'll sign whatever you want. But if you really want me to get the Aadhaar, you send one letter. Aadhaar is mandatory. Without Aadhaar, next month onwards, no gas. The letter didn't come, gas kept coming. But today, how systematically and structurally Aadhaar has become mandatory. You can't say no to Aadhaar anywhere, that they made me link it also to PAN. Yeah? But even today, it is actually voluntary. By law, Aadhaar is voluntary. How many of us know it? That a policeman on the street cannot ask me for my license. He can fine me for violating a law. But he can't ask me for license. The law says only the person who issued you the license, a driver's license, can ask you for the license. So who issued? The RTO. How many times has the RTO inspector asked you for your license? We don't have information. It's important for us to gather, collect information, because that is what is power. Then you will be able to stand up and voice out what you think is the truth. But often, we do not want that information as it is not immediately, conveniently necessary for me. And so when you talk of extraction, everybody will extract because they know I don't know so many things. They will twist and turn. So once one policeman asked my friend, I was riding pillion with her, and we just stopped because it was yellow light. And somebody came and banged from behind, and his light in the front broke. So he said, now you pay for it. We said, nothing doing, good, let's go to the cop. We go to the cop, and the cop said, license, your license also. I said, I have come to complain that we had stopped and this man banged. Now he's asking us money. Some scratch happened to the two-wheeler, but he's asking money for it. So he said, ibrudu license kodi, nodi ildidre yen martini. I said, Mado, we'll see what we'll do. I must have the time, no, to make that statement, Mado. Because he can make me wait there for eternity. These are choices we have to make. And that fellow, no, he said, I'll see what, he took my picture, her picture, Gadi picture, all the picture, and he said, see, I will put it on Facebook. He said, please put my name, Brinda Adige, you will find it. But you must say that, give the correct physics of how your front light got hit by the back portion of our Gadi. You have to explain that. Then this man said, you're not showing your license. I will give you that you're driving without license. I said, no. There is no traffic violation. We pushed the gaadi and came here to make a report to you. No, I only want to see your license. You don't have to see my license. You look at my face, you certainly know I'm over 18. So I can ride pillion. You look at her face, you know that that one is also over 18. So you don't have to worry about it. Violation has happened by that person. We'll give you our phone number, we'll give you our address. You send whatever challan you want to send. Then he called on walkie-talkie telling somebody else something. You know how they behave. 2 tarles have come here. How he called us, you know. You know what he called? Tarle ajjigalu bandidare. Ajji okay. Tarle ajji? So I looked at him and I said, Yuvaka polisu, neevu doddu tarle. Namge tarle heng karitiya? Illa madam, you cannot, you show us your license. I said, you show me your service number, then I will show you license. How much time did we spend there? Over 25 minutes. How many of us have that kind of time? Of course, I lost out. I was going for my brother's birthday cake cutting. They kept asking. I said, cut the cake, yeah, cut it, yeah, doesn't matter. I'll come and eat it. But I missed out on that. And when I went and told my brother, what did he say? He said, doesn't matter, Brinda, we know you'd be doing something like that. So when we were calling you, we were just calling you. We cut the cake 6 o'clock only. So I think we will have to sacrifice something, and we will have to stand up for something that we absolutely believe in. And after a certain point, that lady, my friend, doesn't get her license renewed. Okay, she's almost 68. So she said, I'm not going for my license renewal again. Now some cops, they see us, no? And they'll say, go. License beda, yen beda, you go. They see our face only, they go, oh, so my face is so scary? Good. I agree with you. Cops choose their battles. Cops are the greatest psychologists. They know exactly from who they can extract and who they cannot. But when you put your foot down on these kind of things, he was making our life miserable, asking us to wait there. We absolutely didn't want to give money to that other guy who was at fault. But he kept demanding money. And about 8-9 of his friends came by car and two-wheeler and all, standing there asking us 5,000 rupees. Not that I would have given 50 rupees, but... So the question at the end of the day, I think, lies with us. Battles that we choose, information that we have, and what we sacrifice, because we do lose out. And is that loss okay? Yeah, sometimes it's okay. But most times you have people on the other side who are watching out for you. And that, I think, is our greatest strength, to build people who will watch out for us. If that can be built, even that convenience can come. Build who can watch out for us. All may not be able to fight in the front lines. But if we do fight, like my brother, he says, we cut the cake at 6 o'clock itself. Don't worry, your share is here. Well, fine, that's nice. Nobody is bad-mouthing, nobody is angry, because you know how families can be. Oh, you know, she'll always come late. So we all have to wait for her. No. They know who I am. And they've moved on with it. And everybody is happy. So by the time I went, dinner was getting served. So everything was happy and it ended well. So this is just an example I gave in jest, but it's for us to choose our battles. It's for us to build that community that can support us, can believe in us. And that can happen only when we believe in ourselves first. I'll stop now. Thank you very much. Thanks, Kaveri. Thank you. And thank you to all of you. Thanks
I'd
also
like
to
to-
Narayan.
I'd like to thank Brinda Adige, Kaveri ma'am, and the Vijay Nambisan Trust for bringing today's session to BIC. Thank you to the audience for spending your evening with us.